Chelsea training story. Blues prepare for Liverpool after 1-0 win over Benfica. The cool London morning air carried a sense of quiet determination as Chelsea returned to the training pitches at Cobham. Just 2 days earlier, the Blues had edged Benfica 1-0 in Lisbon in the Champions League, thanks to a decisive strike from Cole Palmer that once again underlined his growing importance in Enzo Maresca's squad. The victory had been hard-fought, scrappy even. But it was exactly the kind of result the Italian coach had demanded. Disciplined, resilient, and reflective of the new mentality he was trying to instill in his players. Now, with little time to dwell on European success, attention quickly shifted to the weekend, a titanic clash against Liverpool in the Premier League. Maresca knew all too well what awaited his side. A high-intensity, pressing storm led by Jurgen Klopp's men, who remained one of Chelsea's fiercest rivals both historically and in modern times. The recovery and reset training began with the usual recovery session for those who had started against Benfica. Palmer, Caicedo and Estevão were seen jogging lightly around the training pitch under the watchful eye of the fitness staff. The players who had been substitutes in Lisbon, or did not feature at all, were pushed into more intensive drills. Among them were Garnacho, Levi Colwill and João Pedro, each eager to make an impression ahead of the Liverpool game. The staff emphasised balance, while recovery was crucial after the European exertions. Maresca also needed sharpness and intensity restored quickly. Liverpool's relentless energy would not allow Chelsea even a second's hesitation at Stamford Bridge. Maresca's tactical emphasis. As the session moved into ball work, Maresca gathered his squad in the centre circle. The Italian spoke animatedly, gesturing with his hands as he outlined the blueprint for facing Liverpool. His message was clear: control the tempo, don't get dragged into chaos, and remain disciplined in the defensive shape. Liverpool will want to run, Maresca said, pointing toward the wings where Mohamed Salah and Luis Diaz often thrive. They will want to drag us out, to make it a game of transitions. But we will decide when and how the game is played. The ball must be ours, and when we lose it, we press intelligently, not emotionally. To reinforce his message, the coaching team set up a series of positional play drills. The players were split into groups of 8, tasked with maintaining possession under pressure while limiting spaces for the pressing defenders. Palmer was central in these exercises, orchestrating with quick touches and decisive passes, while Caicedo served as the anchor, sweeping up loose balls and redistributing calmly. Focus on the attack. Chelsea's attack had been a point of scrutiny throughout the season. Against Benfica, Palmer's lone goal was enough, but Maresca was well aware that one moment of magic would rarely suffice against Liverpool. The training drills shifted into attacking patterns, with emphasis on breaking the high press. Estevão, the Brazilian teenager, dazzled again during these exercises. Cutting in from the right, his quick feet and low centre of gravity made him nearly impossible to dispossess. On the opposite flank, Garnacho provided a more direct threat, sprinting beyond the defensive line and finishing powerfully. Maresca watched carefully, knowing both wingers would be crucial in stretching Liverpool's defensive block. The forward line worked repeatedly on one-touch combinations, designed to escape pressure and find runners in behind. João Pedro and Mudryk were paired together during one drill, testing movements against a makeshift backline of Colwill and Chalobah. The Ukrainian, who had recently returned to form after injury, looked sharp, darting into channels and demanding the ball constantly. Midfield battles. No area would be more critical against Liverpool than midfield. Chelsea's training reflected this reality. Maresca tasked Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez and Conor Gallagher with rehearsing transition moments, winning the ball, turning quickly and releasing forwards before Liverpool's counter-press could reset. Gallagher, full of energy as always, impressed with his box-to-box running. Maresca stopped one sequence to applaud the captain for his aggression in regaining possession before linking with Palmer for a slick move that ended in a goal. "Perfect, Conor!" Maresca shouted. "This is the rhythm!" Quick, precise and ruthless. The tactical plan seemed clear. Absorb pressure in controlled areas, then strike with vertical passes to exploit spaces behind Liverpool's advancing fullbacks. Defensive preparation. While attack and midfield fluidity were important, Maresca knew the heart of this contest would be Chelsea's defence. Liverpool's attacking unit, with Salah, Nunez and Diaz, demanded nothing less than complete concentration. Thiago Silva, still a commanding figure despite his veteran status, organised the defensive drills with the authority of a field general. Colwill partnered him in several exercises, showing composure on the ball and strength in duels. Malo Gusto and Reece James alternated on the right flank, both tasked with balancing defensive solidity against the need to support attacks. The coaches set up repeated scenarios of defending transitions, with Salah-esque stand-ins bursting down the wing. James, back from a long injury spell, looked determined to stake his claim, winning duels and rallying teammates with his vocal leadership. In goal, Robert Sanchez and George Petrovic rotated through shot-stopping drills. Both were tested with high balls, reflex saves, and distribution under pressure. Key elements that would be heavily scrutinised against Liverpool's pressing forwards. Maresca's final talk. Toward the end of the session, Maresca gathered the entire squad once more. The players formed a circle, sweat dripping from their brows, but eyes fixed on their coach. "This is Liverpool," he began, his tone firm but measured. "One of the best teams in the world, but they are also one of the most predictable in their chaos. They will run, they will press, they will fight. If we remain calm, if we trust our shape, if we believe in our discipline, we will control them. This is our home. Stamford Bridge is where we dictate the story." The players nodded, clapping hands together in unison as the session closed. Palmer and Caicedo exchanged a brief word. Estevão smiled as Garnacho slapped his shoulder and Thiago Silva patted Colwill on the back. The togetherness was visible, and Maresca knew that mentality would be just as important as tactics. Looking ahead, as the squad dispersed, the mood was one of quiet belief. The 1-0 victory in Lisbon had reminded them of their resilience, and the approaching clash with Liverpool offered a stage to truly showcase their progress. For Chelsea fans, anticipation built with every passing hour. Could Maresca's system withstand the storm of Klopp's pressing machine? Would Palmer deliver yet again? Could Estevão announce himself fully on English soil with a dazzling display? The answers would come at Stamford Bridge, under the floodlights, in a contest that promised drama, intensity, and perhaps the latest chapter in Chelsea's evolving story. But for now, the work was being done at Cobham, meticulous, demanding, and full of conviction. Chelsea had survived Lisbon. Now, they prepared for Liverpool.